Welcome to the Comic Scoop, new release review for April 27th, part 2. And we got a brand new Amazing Spider-Man. So here I have a variant cover done by Bangle, which is listed as a connecting variant, although I'm unsure what it would connect to. I've been trying to search for it. Issue 2 does not have a Bangle variant, and I haven't seen one in any of the other Spider comics. But more of that later. I do really like this. We have all kinds of Spideys in here throughout, featured in Spider-Verse. It's definitely a well put together cover, even if it's not going to be connected to a bigger picture. But, so this one was cool. We have writer Zeb Wells, who recently did a, revamped Hellions, part of Hickman's, new X-Men in 2020, actually. And we have the interior artist of Spider-Man legend, John Romita Jr., who is actually... Now, his art is fairly iconic when it comes to Spider-Man in general. And then it's especially iconic to me because right here, Amazing Spider-Man 507, this is a Romita Jr. Cover artwork, and as well as interior artwork. And this is the very first Amazing Spider-Man comic I bought. And so my introduction to Spider-Man was with Romita Jr.'s artwork, and yeah, so he's just already well known for his legacy in that, and as far as legacy goes, he's a junior for a reason, because his father is none other than the Romita Jr., who also was part of Amazing Spider-Man years before. Like father, like son, they both do amazing artwork. Alright, so let's dig into ASM number 1 right now. Starts off, outside Pennsylvania. There's this humongous crater, and Peter is just hunched over, like, hacking up a lung or whatever. Now we move to 6 months later. He's here with Aunt May, and, she's saying how she's always supported him with the secrets that he keeps, and she's always assumed that his secrets, whatever it was, made him happy, but now that's not really the case anymore. Throughout this whole comic, we actually see Peter has kind of like an estranged life to his aunt, of all people, his friends. There's like some kind of bill collector that keeps hounding him. One of his best friends, Randy, who I'm actually unfamiliar with. Forgive me, have been out of the loop of Amazing Spider-Man for several years, with the exception of the previous issue, or the ending of the last run, I should say. But yeah, so it's really curious, because it's like I'm really wondering, what did Peter do to be on everyone's bad side? He even, he's about to go out and says to leave his suit behind, and, the Human Torch, who is, like, his long-lasting best friend, comes by, and they even seem to have a little beef with each other because of something that Peter took. And, I'm just really curious to, Peter is not usually really great about maintaining his relationships, but he's not usually hated this badly by everyone. So anyway, while this is happening, we have Tombstone, who is kind of like an up-and-coming kingpin, and we have the Rose, who is the son of Wilson Fisk, who is trying to make business with Tombstone. And Tombstone's not really having it. He doesn't really trust Rose, and as a little flex, Rose shows that he has Digger, who is a character that was introduced in 2003, who is basically a gamma mutant created from like 13 different dead bodies. There's a gamma bomb explosion in a cemetery, and 13 bodies formed together to create Digger. So he's back from the dead, which is, I really love this part where the Rose says the gamma irradiated gangster back from the dead, and Digger says there was a green door, which I absolutely lost it when I saw that, because that's a nice little nod to the Immortal Hulk series where all the gamma mutants, when they die, they are resurrected by going through this green door in hell. So we have that little plot setting up over here. Well, Peter's just trying to, do what Peter does best: find a job, find some friends, find something to do as Spider-Man. Now we get to the scene here where it's revealed that his friend Randy is dating the daughter of Tombstone, and he asks for Tombstone's daughter's hand in marriage, which, believe it or not, he does get that blessing. So while Peter is there just to watch to make sure everything goes fine, and once he realizes it is, he starts to leave, and then sees White Rabbit getting into a limo with some of the rest of Tombstone's guys. And you guys just have to check out this pose. I absolutely love Romana Jr.'s artwork, and it's so gorgeous. I'm really excited for Baltimore Comic Con that he's going to be one of the artists featured there, and I just can't wait to meet him. Can't wait. I have no idea what I want to get signed by him, but I don't know. It's gonna be awesome. So anyway, Spidey follows this car out, and White Rabbit meets up with some of the Rose's guys, and they're selling black market goblin gliders, which is kind of cute. And goblin, so But anyway, Peter then like intervenes and kind of like gets strangled up by Digger. And I really like this scene here where Peter just starts ripping off his fingers, and that's really disgusting. It kind of gives me a hint of what kind of character or being Digger might be. So we have this nice little brawl here with everyone. And, see, Digger and some of them get away, but Spidey webs up White Rabbit and a couple of the other goons and leaves them behind for the cops. Now, we see some time later, he gets a call. It's like, oh, here we go. It's a call from MJ, and she's talking to him like in a closet, and just says, please don't call me again. And that's the end of their conversation. So it's curious what's going on here. Now we go back to Tombstone, who's just like having a nice drink at home, probably toasting himself to his daughter meeting a decent man or whatever. And all of a sudden, his party's definitely exploding. And we find here down the street, there's this guy carrying a rose, and Digger's in there. So we find out the Rose put out a hit to kill Tombstone. But unfortunately for them, and fortunately for Tombstone, he is not a man of regular flesh, and he walks away unscathed. Peter, continues avoiding this bill collector. He goes out looking for a job, hoping to find some crime to stop, and basically bojangles all day long. Ends up walking by MJ's apartment accidentally, quote unquote, and then Tombstone rolls up by him. He's like, "Hey, Peter Parker, you gotta get in." So they have this little talk here, and Tombstone tells him, or he's like states like, Spider-Man. I want you to tell Spider-Man that the Rose and I are going to war, and Tombstone's gonna show Spidey how this is actually done. All that goody stuff is not cutting it. Tombstone's gonna do what he needs to stop this war. And Peter's kind of like, oh, I think I might have found the job I'm looking for. So he's a little excited about that. Now we get to the close of this issue, setting up everyone's lives. Oh man, I love that art. Look at that water. But yeah, we see MJ watching Peter get out of Tombstone's car here, and here she is with, I guess, her new guy, Paul. And here's like the jaw dropper here. We have these children running up to MJ calling her mommy. What? That is all I had to say about that. So, I'm curious to see what is all this about, and what's all of this about, really. Like, what did Peter do, and really what's going on in this timeline. So that was a really nice and great intro. Bringing John Romano Jr. back for this was absolutely a gem. And, yeah, I thought it was great. But, post-credit scene, we see the one, the only, the legendary Doc Ock talking about how Peter, well, refers to this person as he, but we all know who he's talking about, saying that Peter is already broken, and basically there's no honor, no fun in bringing him down while he's broken. He wants to take the happiness from him while he's actually happy. And there's someone off screen, off panel, speaking with him, saying that he will destroy Spider-Man in his way, and Octavius tells this guy that there is no way possible for this person's brain to comprehend the plans that Octavius has. And we have this final page. Dr. Otto Octavius, the most sinister of the villains, held captive by some man who I have no idea who they are. Maybe Chameleon? I don't know. I mean, like, the head kind of makes me think of Chameleon in a way, but it can't be. Like, how would one of Octavius's underlings capture the Ock himself? And his last words here is, "My mind is all right and alive, Dr. Octavius, and hungry. Oh, so hungry." Wow. Yeah, I am curious to see where that's gonna go. That was cool. Alright, so we're gonna move on to a similarly related thing. Carnage. Issue number 2. So, in the last video, I showed you my Spidey 60th anniversary issue, or cover. This is done by Kyle Holtz. Yeah, I really love this. It's so sick. And then we have this other variant cover done by the one and only Gabriel Delato, who puts out the bombest cover art. That's so gorgeous. I love the white background with the red, and it even has like a little specks of like red on the side there. Alright, so yeah, this was really cool. Now, at the ending of the last issue, we had this officer, John, follow the Carnage symbiote and this serial killer known as the Artist into what was kind of like a dimensional warp or whatever, and Carnage has been harnessing the power of Hydro Man, and he comes to explain that a thing he learned from his time with Cletus Cassidy is that serial killers always like to keep something of a trophy, and the trophy is kind of like a symbol of the transformation between killer and victim. And just like that sentiment, Carnage is harnessing Hydro Man's power to become part of his own. Now we have this John guy all warped and crazy over here, still like hot on their tails, and which ooh, Carnage is a little impressed by this guy. The gully of him stepping into sheer madness, and I love this page. And speaking of transformation, Carnage sends out a little wisps of his symbiote to help pull this poor guy together because his body's all over the place, and it makes him whole once again. And yeah, I really like this. He like leaves him behind. So, show me just how far you're willing to go. So it's kind of like, hey, I'm gonna boost you up a little bit just so you can keep hot on our trail. Now John wakes up from like a coma, and he's been under for a couple days. Here's his buddy Booth, who's telling him like, hey, we found you with like blood all over the place, and it was like identified as this super high level top secret um, prisoner or whatever. But John has no memory of anything for now. And just not too long later, while he's looking at himself in the mirror, he can feel something different within inside of him. And it's because he has the Carnage symbiote on him. And now this page really blew me away, where he is being torn apart mentally with all the memories of Cletus Cassidy and Carnage, all the horror, all the carnage that they have made together. He is no longer the same. He's better, stronger, faster, maybe more sinister. So he leaves the hospital to investigate on his own where these two are going. And I thought that's really cool. Very confident, overconfident of Carnage to, soup up this detective and have him continue to follow them. And they have this little conversation with each other, the killer and Carnage, and the artist is a little jealous that Carnage gave some of the symbiote to this detective when all he's ever wanted was to be bonded with Carnage. And he tells him this really great thing. He's like, look, when that detective looks in the mirror, he doesn't see himself, he sees you. Like, that's power. That's drive. That, it loses his mind. It's what makes him who he is. And he says he is that same way, too. And I love how they show, like, Venom in this panel here. So I like that, because it's kind of like the idea that Carnage is who he is because of his hatred for Venom. But yeah, this issue was really cool. I can't wait for more. The art is so fantastic from artist Hannah, and right when I thought it couldn't be any better, we continue on with Carnage, and we find ourselves with seeking out another character, and Hydra Man was just the first, and it shows someone with these spotted legs. Who could it be but none other than Jonathan Owen, the Spots himself? And I flipped out seeing this, because it's like, alright, Carnage is going to have the powers of Hydra Man and the Spot. Who else is he going to absorb to become the ultimate monster? Now, those of you who aren't familiar with the Spot, he's a character that was introduced in Spectacular Spider-Man 99. Scientist Jonathan Ohm, who was working to harness the dark dimensional power that Cloak has, and in doing so, he found he created a different type of dimension, and he can work his way through these portals, which is a pretty nifty thing. I've always thought he was cool. I definitely think he's a very underrated character. And my favorite version of him is in Ultimate Spider-Man, featuring in issue 111. And Ultimate Spider-Man's a little different. I believe he goes by the name Frank here, and he seems a lot more monstrous, and he's supposed to be a science experiment gone wrong, which I guess isn't too far from the original thing, but as opposed to being the scientist who lost control of his experiment. This is an experiment itself. So I thought that was neat. Yeah, Carnage, top choice for sure. Next up, we have the Knights of X, the newest installation for the Destiny of X. Here I have the variant cover done by Megan Hetrick, which features Captain Britain, Betsy Braddock on a flying horse there, popularly known as Pegasus. This is written by Tina Howard and drawn by Bob Quinn. So we start off in Otherworld, and so we get a little recap here that Merlin is the ruler of Otherworld who forcibly took the throne from Saturn. And Merlin, with leading King Arthur and their knights of the Round Table, they're anti-mutant or witch breed is what they call them. We have these Furies, which are kind of like the Otherworld's version of Sentinels, hunting down any mutants. So we find this one guy here, Joshua Engelhard, and he's about to be obliterated when Captain Britain comes to save him. Or so he thinks. So we come to find out that this is a person that goes by the name Captain Brett Land, who is a follower of the Betsy Braddock Captain Britain, who's kind of like the Knight of Otherworld. Within this story, we follow Betsy, and she is basically trying to get an army together to protect the mutants in Otherworld, and eventually give throne back to Saturn. So they seek an alliance with the daughter of Merlin, named Roma. Now, she isn't able to help them directly because, as she states, that's not how magic works specifically, but instead gives her this book. And when Betsy opens up the book, she is teleported back to Krakoa. Now, this is a big thing because the gate, the flower gate to Krakoa has been destroyed. So Betsy is completely stuck in Otherworld. And while she's been there, her buddies, part of Excalibur, have been trying to contact with her. Now they finally do. So they're all really excited about this. Betsy needs to gather 10 heroes, 10 warriors. So brings together her group of Excalibur and tries to seek out a few others. While doing this, they try to use their ability at the Hive of Resurrection to resurrect none other than Mordred, who is the son of King Arthur, the mutant son of King Arthur, who was killed because Arthur thought that the witch breeds would destroy Otherworld. So they resurrect him, but his body just disappears. There's nothing inside the egg, and they're unsure what happens there. But it's alright. Betsy just goes and collects Shogo and Jubilee together. So they all travel back to Otherworld, and I really love this page here. We have our heroes, the Knights of X, traveling through the book back to Otherworld. And on the other side, there's King Arthur and his knights getting ready for this battle. So now we're in Otherworld, and for whatever reason, Jubilee could not go through. There's still a person short. And Shogo has transformed into his form of the dragon while in Otherworld. They are ambushed and have to battle. They find another warrior here who is someone very familiar with Otherworld. It goes by the name Colon. And they're still down one more, but during this battle, they come across the Black Knighted Mordred, who in this state is known as a villain. So they ask him to unmask himself, and when he takes off his helmet, they're surprised that this is a younger version of Mordred. So they try to explain to him how he arrived there and what his father's been doing. And that is when they now are all together, all 10, and it is revealed to them that they are supposed to go on a quest to get this gem. And the gem referred to as the Siege Perilous. And this will help them with their war against King Arthur. So it's really neat setup here. We have Merlin showing King Arthur what these mutants are doing and saying that they need to stop them, and like Arthur and his people, they can't find this gem themselves, but they can take it away from the mutants. So we have a really neat setup here for a cool story in the fantasy world of Otherworld. If you were to go and read through Excalibur from 2019, it has a really great setup here of Betsy Braddock, becoming Captain Britain. Well, she's Captain Britain already here, but throughout this arc, she owns that title by going into Otherworld and challenging her brother, and we set up the crew of Excalibur. So that's a pretty good read there. That's also done by Tina Howard too, actually. So this year, by the end of July, we will have the 60th birthday of Spider-Man, Peter Parker Spider-Man. And also within this year, and I believe it's in August, it will be Thor's 60th as well. So I have here the Spider-Man tribute cover that I featured in my last video. This is done by Declan Shalvey. Sorry. I can't get over that webbing off of Monier there. It's so cool. And then I had, because that's for Spider-Man, but because it is also Thor's birthday, not to, have him overshowered by the web slinger, I got this really gorgeous variant cover of a funeral pyre. And this is done by Stephanie Hans. It's absolutely gorgeous. And this is quite a thick book, because it features stories by Donny Cates and Nick Klein, who are the current team for Thor. And it starts off with their story, which is this really beautiful eulogy that Thor gives for his father, Odin, because Odin had sacrificed himself to empower Thor to defeat the god of hammers, which was basically the embodiment of Mjolnir itself. So he no longer has Mjolnir, and he actually was able to get a new hammer made for him. So we have this really beautiful eulogy here, and in between we have some other side stories by various different artists. We got Better Ray Bill featuring in a couple of these, like he's in this one right here. Different artists, different writers. That's an ad there. And then there's like this next one here, which is kind of neat. Thor, a very classic art style here. If you like Thor or want to get more into that lore, definitely pick up Thor 25, because you get all these nice little snippets of things. I really like this story where Thor has this lawyer, and he's basically trying to set up a will on the in case if he were to die and not come back, because sometimes they come back. And I really love the idea of, like, this guy's like, let me guess, you want to, be, like, burning on a pyre, like, ship out to sea? And Thor's like, no, I want you to cast me into the storms of Saturn, because that's all I know. We even get a Loki-centered story done by Al Ewing. And then by the end of it, we go back to the main story by Donny Cates. And, it finishes up the funeral here. they set up yeah, they set up Thor, or sorry, they set up Odin onto a nice boat, and they set him off into the sea of the cosmos and set him ablaze like a glorious pyre out to Valhalla, fit for any Viking, any true warrior. But he does not rest now. Thor is driven mad because the voice coming from his new hammer is the voice of his father, tormenting him, calling for help. And Odin tells him that he cannot rest. He was sent off to Valhalla, but when he got to the gates, when he got to the halls, they were empty. And because Valhalla is gone. Wow. So that was Thor 24. So I'm going to try to wrap it up here. I just realized I'm over half an hour now, and I have 2 more to go. So here's Crimson Reign number 4 with the really awesome connecting cover done by Andito. And we feature Ren here on the cover, the leader of the Knights of Ren, who was first introduced in The Rise of Skywalker, written by Charles Soule in 2019, I believe. Yeah, 2019, where we feature, or this is a good this is a good story arc where we follow Ben Skywalker and his fall into the dark side, basically, where he meets Ren and is lured to their lifestyle. Now this one's really cool. So Kira, with her quest to bring down the Sith, she has now extended her hand to the Knights of Ren and gives them what seems like an impossible task to go all the way to the burning planet of Mustafar, sneak into Darth Vader's castle, and steal a key that is supposed to be the key to everything. And they aren't told specifically what this key opens, but it's both literal and figuratively the key. So they have this nice little battle in here with all these troopers trying to get through Vader's defenses, and this part's great. They finally get the key, and it's like, wait, why'd you guys stop shooting? What happened with everyone? And they're faced with Vader, who's like, yeah, they were no longer needed, basically because I'm here. And he just starts, like, choking people out, and he and Ren go face-to-face, clashing with their lightsabers. Vader's, of course, taunting him, not being a real, not being barely, and he's able to take the key, and he's taunting Vader that he won, but, well, unfortunately, what Ren doesn't realize is Vader is a master of the Force, and just, like, takes it right out of his hand. But before Vader can take it, the rest of the knights shoot at Vader, distracting him, and Ren's able to take the key once again. So they're off, and Vader is definitely not pleased. This was an awesome, awesome read. So now my final one for this video, and the final of the whole huge haul of the April 27th, is not a Marvel issue, because all these other ones were from Marvel. This is DC's Death of the Justice League. Justice League issue 75. This is written by Joshua Williamson, who's a pretty awesome dude. I've met him before, and drawn by Rafa Sandoval. Now, there was a couple different variant covers that I was absolutely unsure of what to get. But then when I saw this cover in person, I did not realize. Yeah, it reminds me a whole lot of like the acetate covers a few years ago that DC were doing. It's just absolutely awesome. See the Justice League in peril. So this was a really neat. This is a really neat issue. It's the prelude to the next big event in DC called Dark Crisis, and essentially it is the Secret Wars meets Neverending Story. So all these heroes, everyone from the Justice League is teleported away from their lives to this other reality, where Pariah is working for a entity called the Great Darkness, and he's helping spread the Great Darkness through the multiverse, which essentially is going to absorb everything, and everything will cease to exist. Yeah, some really great artwork in here, really beautiful colors, and Pariah leads his dark army of like Darkseid and all these other great villains who are already like very intimidating, but now they're like especially charged up with the dark energy, and the Justice League and them go head to head, have this super epic battle. And there's even a moment that I'm really curious about, because like Darkseid seems to snap out of it for a moment, and he's like, your only survival is, and then he just like, you know, blasts Black Adam with his laser eyes, and you know, they have this super epic battle, but there's this part towards the end where everyone just gets obliterated, and like, look at this. We got Batman turning into nothing. He's just a human, right? But here is the God-Man that is Superman, and he is withered away to nothing. And same with Wonder Woman. What is happening to the Justice League? All that's left is Black Adam and Pariah. Then we go back to Prime Earth, where the rest of the League that's left behind is trying to figure out what happened to everyone. And they just find Black Adam, and all he can say is, the Justice League are dead. Wow. I'm curious to see what this Dark Crisis is going to unfold into. Alright, everyone. Thank you for all tuning in to this extra long video. Extra long videos, I guess, since this is a part 2 of something. I'll be catching you guys a little later in the week, now that I'm back on track with my timetables. You know, you all have a nice week. Enjoy Wednesday, which is not only New Comic Book Day, but Star Wars Day. So may the 4th be with you all. Bye.